to say like, "Hey there, go warp time" or whatever.
You should say exactly that.
Say you do that.
Oh, hey there, go warp time.
Hey there, go warp time.
There you go. There you go.
No, it has to be like a surprise, Dave. Oh
My. Okay.
Oh
And
my.
hey, everybody, we're here on Live Long and Podcast to talk about the first season of Star Trek Lower Decks, the entire season. We have been doing an episodic follow each week as it's been airing on CTV Sci-Fi Channel in Canada and CBS All Access in the States. It's been myself, Dave Mader, with Jeff Mader and Jamil Robinson each week. But we have some new panelists here, old favorites here on Live Long and Podcast. We got Jody Simpson. How you doing, Jody? And
Good
we got
evening.
Kevin and Ashley Millard. How are you doing?
excellent.
We're good.
I only have one question, Dave.
Yes.
Are we go for warp speed?
All right. I think we're go for warp time.
All right.
Hey there, go warp time. I was rewatching some of the early episodes tonight, and that was something like Carol Freeman says when she's walking in the hall. She's like, "I need something to say when we go to warp. How about hey there, go warp time?" Or it's definitely warp time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's amazing. Like,
Yeah, I remember that.
the speculation. Like every captain needs sort of
You need some sort of
Yeah.
catchphrase, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about Star Trek Lower Decks. So I've talked to all of you a little bit about it, but we're going to kind of get into this whole season, all of these characters, this whole new show, how it fits into Star Trek or not, or does it matter, and what we like about it and what we don't like about it. So it's going to be quite a bit. So I'm curious to hear all your thoughts, but I'll just kind of go from left to right, sort of on my screen here. So Jody, we'll start with you. How are you feeling about Star Trek Lower Decks overall, just sort of coming into tonight?
As we've discussed previously, Dave, I had a very harsh thought for it originally. The first couple episodes definitely didn't sell me on it. I actually was watching your watch podcast or whatever you guys call that one, and I finally decided to continue pursuing. I actually didn't watch from the 5th episode to the 8th. I had to actually binge watch them all because I skipped that many of them because I was like, yeah, forget it. I'm not watching this anymore. But I saw how excited you guys were for it, so I decided to give it another chance, and I am glad I did. I jumped more into it. I originally thought that this was kind of sacrilege. I didn't enjoy how it was basically Family Guy in Star Trek. And well, there's actually a lot of things you can reference it as, but as time goes on, you said a comment recently actually on one of your podcasts in regards to it's really for the fan. And I think I see that now, where I originally didn't when I first got into it. So I definitely am enjoying it a lot more going further through it, for sure.
All right, well, all great points, and I think a lot of things to definitely dive into there in terms of. But now you're a believer. I feel like.
I don't know if I'm going to go so far as to label myself a believer, but I'm watching it actively right now. That's all as far as I've gone. I'm not saying that I'm going to enjoy the next season automatically, but it's definitely getting better as time goes on so far.
Well, okay. And then Kevin and Ashley, so I know that tonight you just finished the last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So and the last episode just aired last night. So it's all pretty fresh. But there was quite a few events, but in terms of just Lower Decks, high level, how are you feeling right now? Kevin first, maybe.
I
first?
was 100% all in from the first episode. I loved it. The first cold open. I loved everything about the show. Every episode. I mean, there's been episodes that I like less than other episodes, but there's always been something in that episode that has made me laugh and that I've loved. I enjoy watching the episodes to find the Easter eggs. I love the characters. It's fun Star Trek. I like it. It feels like it's old Star Trek again, but goofy. And I've loved it.
I wasn't expecting to like it. I was even reluctant to like it at first. And it won me over. I absolutely love it. It's funny. It really is, like Jody said, it's for the fan. All the humor, it like they just get me. Like I just love it. I love the humor in it, and you guys know like that's what I look for in most shows is the humor or the story, one or the other, not really battles and all that stuff. And this has the humor for me. I love it. Like, yeah, and some episodes are better than others, but that's to be expected with any show. Not everything is going to be a home run, but all in all, they've done a great job with this show.
Okay, yeah, I largely feel the same way. Like I was very high on this season. I thought that this was a great first outing. I think that they really get it. I definitely there's some things I didn't like in what they did at times, but to Ashley's point, there was always something that was good or something that I really enjoyed in the episode. So that was always good. So let's get maybe into the main characters, because I think that they are the kind of like the shining thing in this show, even more so than all the respective episodes. But
I disagree with that statement, but all right.
Do you think this is more like plot driven than character driven? Is that what you're?
I enjoy the show, but the main characters are all aggravating for me. But the actual show itself and the references I really like. I like some of the plots. The finale plot, in my opinion, was great. I never would have saw that stuff coming. But
question for you though, who's your favorite character?
If I had to pick a favorite character between the four main casts, is that what you're asking?
Anyway, any character on the show, who a recurrent? It has to be like someone from the Cerritos.
The doctor for sure. I love her.
Dr. Ta'ana.
Yeah, Ta'ana. Yeah, I don't know their names very well, quite honestly. So
you'll
have to excuse me.
But
yeah, like I want to see way more of her. Absolutely, like we need more of her. Like they are totally underusing that character. That should be way more used. But I think out of my least favorite character would probably be, honestly, Boimler. I fucking hate him.
All right, and we'll go around like and just have everyone most favorite.
Sorry, I thought you asked me best and worst.
And least favorite character. So far we have Dr. Ta'ana as your favorite and Boimler as your least favorite. Actually, same question.
Favorite is I feel like it's a tie between Rutherford and Shax. I love both. They both make me laugh on a consistent basis. I like when they're on screen. I don't know if I could pick a least favorite character. Maybe Tendi?
Really?
Okay, well, yeah, it doesn't have to be. You mean you don't like this character?
Yeah, I like all of the characters.
Who's Tendi? The green one?
Green girl.
I don't remember all the names.
You can just use a description. It will be fine.
I feel like they need to. She's a very one-dimensional character. They need to build her out
very much so.
I think my favorite character, oddly, is the captain. Really? I don't know why, but I really like. She's very captain-like, but also neurotic and weird.
Yeah,
I like her a lot. And least favorite, God, I don't know. Probably Tendi.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, who was your favorite?
I think
Captain Freeman. The captain. Okay, and if you were listening to us here on the audio version, Jamil Robinson has joined us tonight. How you doing, Jamil?
Salush, I just finally showed up. So, sorry, late working and then traffic did not help.
No worries.
It's all right.
It's all right. No worries, Jamil. I just knew that we had a lot of
Well,
thank you, Jane.
She is probably my second favorite character, though. That the doctor.
She's way underutilized.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
we can't utilize the senior officers too much, or it wouldn't be lower decks.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but how much do I see of like the fucking second, number one or whatever his name is? I see him way more in these episodes than I see her.
They could do less of him and more of the doctor. For sure.
Yeah, just even it out a little bit more.
Yeah,
I guess maybe.
Yeah. Okay. But do you feel like this cast has chemistry, Jody?
Do I think the cast has chemistry? Out of the four main ones?
Oh, the whole cast.
Whole cast in general, I would say most of the senior officers definitely do. The ensigns, I think that's a kind of half and half thing. I think some of them have chemistry, some of them don't. Tendi, I don't think has chemistry with anybody, in my opinion. And I think Rutherford can sometimes have chemistry, but sometimes not. He's kind of like the odd fish out, in my opinion. But
well, chemistry just in terms of like, do these
like
characters work well with each other?
The only time I didn't like Rutherford was in the last episode. So, like, that's the only time I didn't like him. So
when he was going through his little flip modes there.
Yeah, that was just stupid. I'm sorry.
Right.
Anyway,
don't apologize.
Jamil,
you're absolutely right.
I thought it was hilarious.
I liked it.
Oh no,
I liked it, and I'm not going to apologize.
Yeah, no,
it's fine. That's the whole point. We all have different opinions on things. It's fine.
Some more right than others.
I do apologize though, Jamil, because I did make a comment yesterday in regards to Rutherford, and I think you took it like I didn't like him at all. But it was I meant only that episode. I tried to correct myself, but I don't think the comment ever made it. So
that's why we have this deep dive. Thank you, Dave, for putting it together.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Is there any so to Ashley and Kevin, was there any particular moment this season that really stuck out to you as sort of like this was what I'll really remember about season 1?
Obviously the flying around the ship.
Oh yeah.
In the movie episode.
Yes.
With the signatures. That was awesome.
And then the signatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the movie style music through
everything.
The episode. They nailed it on that one. The finale for sure. I loved the finale episode.
You know what I like the most, honestly, if you're gonna ask me that question? It's the actual intro to the show. I actually like that intro. I think it's very fitting. It's very funny. But yet it still gives you that kind of sense of next gen kind of thing, right? It's like next gen but gone bad.
So much of Galaxy Quest, which
very much
in the mood for a show that's funny.
Do you know?
Like I literally watched that the other day. I love that movie.
Probably stands out the most for me because it's the thing that I quote or bring up the most often.
O'Brien
being the most important man in Starfleet history. I love it.
I wouldn't disagree with that statement, though.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's every time we're watching, because we're
now you see Brian, right? Now you're like, there he is.
Season 7 of Deep Space Nine, and every time O'Brien comes on screen, I'll turn to Kevin and I go, most important man in Starfleet history. That must be what's gonna.
The only thing
really granular with it, I will always remember. Hey, another Enterprise. The
Packlets.
We are strong.
The Packlets like
strong.
You're not the Enterprise.
Laugh so hard.
Yeah, many Enterprises.
Yeah, the only thing that can ever ruin O'Brien for me is Keiko. Every time Keiko shows up, O'Brien just goes down a couple notches.
Miles. That was so good.
Keiko had a point though. Sometimes.
Especially that one episode where he makes the mashed potato thing for her because like they're trying new things. I can't remember what episode it is. It's a next gen episode, I think. But God, that fucking episode drives me nuts every time I see it. I see her and she bitches about she's making some seaweed shit or something, and then he's like, "I'll make you a good hearty meal." And it's like something I would eat, and it's.
Yeah,
her reaction threatened you.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Jaemeel, do you have a question for the group here? Because you're just joining us, and you and I watched and talked about every episode this season. So
every episode,
and I largely don't have questions for one another, but I wonder if you have questions.
I usually have questions for you, but I'll use the same question.
You have questions for me. You can ask them to me too.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
What do you think was the best use of uniforms this season?
For me, is that a question for me?
No, sorry. I'm not asking you this question. I'm asking everyone else. You do not get to answer the uniform question, Dave.
Okay.
I liked the Titan.
You like the Titan?
I was fine with it. Yep.
Okay.
I was fine with the. That's my favorite of. That's my favorite of the uniforms. Is the one they used for the Titan.
Really don't pay attention to uniforms.
The Admiral uniform stuck out to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Doritos style Admiral uniform.
Yeah, whatever in the
Mariner's dad, like Mariner's dad was one.
Yeah,
right?
I just remember the Admiral came on and I'm like, oh, I like these Admiral uniforms. They're still close enough to their uniform without being like, why is it so different?
Yeah, just got the gold and a little bit of gold.
Yeah, it's got the and then the old bar style. Yeah, I enjoy it.
I like the ones from the Titan because it's my favorite one where it's got just that little tiny colored undershirt and everybody else wears the same shit.
Yeah,
I like that.
But I also was super excited to see Riker in there. So
I like to see the Titan personally because we've never got to see it.
Itself.
I would love a Titan live action TV show with Captain Riker.
He's too old now. I don't think you're going to do it.
So,
I know.
We're not going to get live action, but I mentioned this in the last episode. I feel the way they kind of position themselves, they can option of separating the shows, right? And you have Mariner and Captain Freeman on their adventures with the rest of the remaining cast, and Boimler being the new eyes, like our entry point into Titan, because it's not like Titan's already going to be an established ship. Yeah. So Boimler is going to be our eyes, our entry point into the goings on of the adventures. And then they can kind of squeeze him out. You know, what they would call this is a backdoor pilot. Pilot.
Yeah. And it's very possible that could be happening. You know, who knows?
It's entirely possible.
I would like to see Riker back. I don't really care about Troy at all.
And if Jonathan Frakes is back, they could bring back Thomas Riker again.
I hope so.
That'd be great.
We can find out what happened to him.
What happened?
We want to know. Has he made commander rank yet?
Get him out of there, like she said she was going to do.
maybe what they'll do is Tom Riker will end up being like the commander of the Cerritos or something.
But like, just imagine, like, we do get a Titan, series, and first episode is like we see this dark prison. And then Shadow, light comes on as what is Riker doing there? But then we find out it isn't William T. Riker. It is Thomas Riker. And we're like, oh no. And then all of a sudden we see Karen Nerys, pretending to be a prostitute to get him out, because that's her go-to.
That's how she does it.
That's her
go-to.
That's her rescue move.
And O'Brien is there.
Pimp.
He's like, guys, I can energize more than 2 people. It's okay.
Well, I don't know if you guys saw my comment yesterday when we were talking about the guy who died. Spoiler. I can't remember his name. What is it?
Shax.
Lieutenant
Shax.
I see his name. If you listen to all the episodes, I consistently say
I want him to come back as a clone.
A different version of his name every single time. I say Shats, Shax, Shats.
Who, me?
No, me. I say it differently every episode.
I want him to come back as a clone. And I want him to be a Romulan commander. I think that'd be hilarious.
Yeah. You were like, well, they killed off. We said killed off Tasha Yar. Why not?
That's right. It's like killing off Tasha Yar, right? Later on, she comes back. That'd be so funny.
Well, I think that, and the person who voices Shax is Fred Tasha-Sore, who played a couple other characters this season. He was one of the most funniest parts of this cast, and Shax was my sort of favorite, at least background character. And of the not the main 4.
The silence.
He's with the Prophets now, and it was a great. It was
the Prophet's child.
That last episode was fantastic action. I cared about these characters. When Shax died, Jamil and I went no, and Jeff was pissed. Jeff was
It's a time travel episode. It's a time travel episode.
Jamil, this last episode, the season finale. The first perfect 10 I have ever given out as a rating.
Wow!
Wow! Maybe that's a segue.
I was giving Dave crap because he put it so high. I'm like,
Here, I'm just going to show you guys here on screen because we got everybody's ratings before the episodes, and we are going to get into each episode tonight as we get into this deep dive of season 1. But everybody put in the ratings, including Jane, who's busy. She wanted to be on, but she's busy with Thanksgiving tonight preparing, and so it is. We have our averages here, and you can see like
I'm the lowest. Wow,
you're the lowest, but you're not that far off from.
I'm on par with Kevin though, so
you're all sort of close.
That's pretty normal for me.
As you can see with my 8.2 rating, I am way higher on this than any of you were, and maybe I need to
0.3 higher than me.
Where?
Right. Yeah.
But actually, I know you well enough. You're not crazy.
Right. The lowest, according to us, the lowest point this season was terminal provocations.
Yeah.
I can't say that.
That one wasn't great.
That was awful. I don't even want to like saying it wasn't great. I think is underserving, mediocre television. It was terrible. Hated it.
Yeah, I also.
Oh, I know. I've watched that episode of this podcast. I know how you feel, Jamil.
I'm usually middle of the road. Like, I gave it a 5. I think I gave it a 5. I'm usually, a little bit like, well, they tried hard. No, 5. Sorry, that's terrible. If the episode cut off, I would have gave it a 3.
I hated the first 2 episodes.
I could understand why. Although I think I like the second episode.
The final episode, the Titan shows up, and Ashley and I both put our arms up and cheer like a couple of idiots.
Yeah.
If only you did a reaction video, that would have been amazing.
Oh my god! If there was a reaction video, you would have seen literally the Titan comes in, and I'm like, I did this. I went, it's got to be Riker. Tell me it's Riker. Like, there's no way that they fucked this up, and it's not Captain Riker. And then you just see him on screen, and we're like, yes. And then when the ship blows up and Shax dies, I'm like,
I thought she was gonna cry.
What? That was my I was like, this is not okay.
I'm like, there's gonna be a temporal void, or Q's gonna show up. Q has to show up.
Let's talk about that for a second. How disappointing was that?
Oh,
it was pretty disappointing. I agree.
How dare they even call John Clancy for that?
I don't even remember Q in the episode. I actually said to Ashley today,
I was so pissed off.
I thought we were going to get a Q episode, and she went, we did. And I'm like,
Q is one of my favorite characters ever. And the way they treated him was like, they could have easily just got somebody who could do his voice. Like, they didn't even need to bring him in. What was the point?
I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
Don't even bother. I can tell you right now, it sucks. It's disappointing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's not even a big role. It's not even a big.
It's not supposed to be, but it should have been something.
That's kind of the problem. Is that it's underutilized. It's a missed opportunity. They had a big opportunity with the Q character to sort of invigorate with the Lower Decks characters, I think, and we talked about that the week he was on. But terminal provocations. That's the episode with Q in it, right, Jamil? Is that?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and that's the one
that episode is just all types of just terrible.
But you can hear it in John Lancey's voice. You can tell he just doesn't care. He's like, he probably showed up thinking he was gonna have some big part, and then they okay, here's your 3 lines.
Oh, he's like, he's like, did the check clear? Okay, let's roll. Let's roll.
Yeah.
Let's roll. I'll read some lines in a closet. Here you go. And whatever.
Ching, where's my paycheck, bitches?
I was happy when Riker. Yeah, I very much the same when the Titan shows up, when Riker comes in with Troy. That was amazing. We
didn't need Troy though.
You feel the emotion.
That was still good though.
I didn't want to talk about this until maybe the end, but is this the same? Is this our Riker? Is this another Riker? This is a new.
I don't think this is our Riker.
It's
a cartoon Riker.
It's a cartoon Riker. Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah. Well, Riker, and they're taking liberties on a lot of things, so why would they? Right?
Serious about his job.
I think it's canon.
It doesn't matter if it's canon. Let's just enjoy it.
And let's just
enjoy it.
I'm with you, Jamil. Everybody keeps talking about canon. It's my least favorite word in the English language right now. Fuck off. Do you enjoy it? Yes, then
yes.
Who cares?
Well, Riker, he went on adventures with Mariner. That's pretty cool. Or did he?
That's cool for the show that we're watching. It makes Mariner a somewhat more interesting character. All right? But that's only for the show.
It makes Riker a more interesting character. Why is he friends with Mariner?
No, I am not tying Riker's being an interesting character to an animated show, right? Based upon
why
7 seasons of a show plus multiple movies. Oh, well, an appearance, 30 like a 2-minute appearance on an animated show. Man, Will Riker's an interesting character now. Come on, Dave.
Apparently, we didn't know that Will Riker trafficked in contraband all throughout the show.
Well, when you think about it, though, it does make sense because he always had booze.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Always had access to the booze.
Lest we forget, where did that game that took over the ship and was brainwashing them? Who brought that on? I forgot.
Right?
That was Riker.
Yeah, it was Riker. Riker is Xander, but with more responsibility.
Back and forth to Risa, of course he was trafficking shit.
Oh yeah,
I don't think that there's a problem.
He at least had some extra shit with him.
I don't think there's a problem with any of this. Any of these.
It's like me going to Cuba. I come back with a lot more than I should.
Yeah, and to me, if it doesn't matter, to me this is the same Riker. It's not a cartoon Riker.
That's fine. You can have your opinion. That's fine.
And that's what he says now when he goes to warp. He goes a warp of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then it's all jazz. That's what he says when he goes to warp in the title.
My favorite line in that is Troy. Oh, with the jazz.
Yeah, she would say that.
Like she's just so sick of his jazz.
God damn it, why did
Okay,
I
so if every captain or any commanding officer had like their own saying before they go into warp, what would Troy's be? Chocolate or Will? What was it gonna be? Data.
Probably that. Mother, stop it.
I said,
please.
I said it's time to warp.
Be proper, mother.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, and
if they don't make rest in peace Shaq shirts, I'm gonna make bootleg ones.
Shaq's, I'm gonna miss him, man. I don't know how they replace him on this ship. Who's the new chief of security?
Easily, he's a Bajoran. He's expendable. Move on.
Well, someone could be in that role though. But
fucking hate Bajorans.
That's racist, man. You're being racist.
It is, and I'm fine with it. They suck.
Bajoran.
Huh?
What's that?
He was the least Bajoran.
He was like the most Bajoran I ever saw.
He's one of the only ones I ever enjoyed.
Yeah,
if that's
I like when he's at the meeting and he's like, "Okay, we need a chair with a leather strip down the middle," and then right, and he goes, "They're like, no stools." He's like, "Stools are my back." He's like, "They're not sitting on right." And he's like, or then he's like, "I've killed men for less," and he's like, "No, you haven't." He's like, "Well, I've threatened to kill men for about the same." And he's like, "No."
Oh my god. Did you have that
probably was
Did you just remember that verbatim?
That was probably a shining moment in the show, in my opinion, for sure.
And the show is a parody. The show is a parody. It is making fun of everything about Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, but it's all true. That's why it's so funny.
When the captain,
but it's a parody with love.
Yeah, when the captain is talking about they make second contact, but then they make second contact, and then she's like Starfleet. So what did she say? Starfleet.
Our policy of some interference.
The other line I liked, I can't remember who said it, but somebody said something along the lines of like, we basically never follow up.
Yeah,
we're Starfleet. We never follow up. Something like that.
We went back to the planet with Landru.
Landru.
Tranquility.
We watched that episode recently,
my friend.
Red Hour.
A great example of it.
Red Hour.
Just like all the references. Sometimes there's almost too many references. I can't even believe how much they get into.
Well, and that's what that's what bugged me about the first couple episodes, because as I'm watching it, I'm thinking, oh fuck, this is Family Guy. Like this is literally Family Guy, because Family Guy is 3 minutes of actual original dialogue and then 20 minutes of trying to be funny by referencing something else. And to me, that's what the first couple episodes were like, and that's why I was getting turned off from it. But as I've kind of gotten more, I think their references are getting a little bit more, what's the word? Educated, I guess, maybe. They're really digging into stuff that you have to really be a fan to understand it.
Yeah.
Whereas the first couple episodes really wasn't. It was kind of like the standard tropes that like everybody knows about Star Trek, even if you're not a huge fan. Whereas later on they get really detailed.
Although one of my favorites is when she has to clean out the biofilters in the holodeck,
Yeah.
and they're talking. Whoa, people use it for that, and they just go. It's mostly that.
It's mostly that.
Like she doesn't know. She doesn't.
Well, that's what I always had a problem with that with DS9, because DS9 they have those, they have the holosuites, right? And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's in a bar. There's always like prostitutes around. Like that's a dirty area.
That's how Quark sold it.
That's how Quark sold it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
was
know.
referenced multiple times in the show.
Yeah, but that's it. That's what, like, every time I think about the holosuites on DS9, I'm like, ugh.
I think that speaking of why earlier episodes were not so good, I honestly believe that the earlier episodes were written by sitcom writers, modern day sitcom writers, and then the back half were done with like newer up and coming people who, like, you can really tell that they have a good grasp on what Star Trek is, and that was the difference, because I've never heard of John Cochran from Survivor being a big Trekkie at all.
Right.
And that Badgie episode just felt like I've read about Star Trek and I've watched some things, but I don't truly understand Star Trek in general.
Yeah.
That was the worst episode.
Well, and I think I even used that quote originally in like one of your first podcasts for this thing. I basically said something along the lines of like, this is made for fans that don't like Star Trek, because that's really kind of what it was for the first couple episodes. You're like, why are we doing this? And then they started. So I wouldn't disagree with that statement, Jamil. I think you might be onto something there, because the writing definitely got better for sure.
It was just a modified version of your statement, which was true.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And Terminal Provocations, which is the episode we all agree is the worst, pretty much, is written by John Cochran from Survivor. And that's the episode with Fletcher. And that's the episode with Badgie. And, maybe it's like, it sticks out. It to me, it's the worst episode. I think, what did I give it? I gave it a...
I'd be fine if Badgie was more like Moriarty.
True, but it wasn't.
Oh, I also love that they brought Da Vinci back.
Yeah,
it wasn't the same voice actor.
Not the same one though. Yeah,
it was a Janeway.Maybe Janeway just made. She was like, I want my Da Vinci to talk like John Rice Davies for whatever reason.
How many programs did she have where she just dumped people out of the airlock? Was that like a Janeway program 1, Janeway program 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fan of Voyager, but I know where you're getting at.
She's coming back though. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And for a show I'll never watch, I'm sure.
What did everyone think about that news that Janeway's gonna be back on Star Trek Prodigy, the Nickelodeon animated Star Trek show?
The show that's going to be for 8-year-olds. Yeah, I'm going to watch that a lot.
They said 5 to 15.
5 to 15.
They said their key demographic was 8 to 10.
Should be back as
the one that I read was 8 to 10.
Look, first episode, so like
Sesame Street in space.
They're like, we want a reaction episode about Tuvix. And then
I wouldn't be shocked if there isn't a reference of Tuvix in the next season. It wouldn't shock me.
She says she's gonna be the first children's captain.
Yeah.
Oh, oh no! I just had a bad thought. What?
Her playing Janeway again?
No,
yeah, that is a bad thought.
Worse. What if Shax is still alive and they did some like Star Trek 3 business with Rutherford, and he's transferred his essence somehow.
Shax is gone, man. He's with the Power Race
They
now,
might
man.
do that.
See, people.
They might do that
because
he's the one that ripped the.
Yeah, I even said when the episode ended, I was like, they're gonna find a way to bring him back.
I think.
Well, they've already made reference to the search for Spock in a previous episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They already did the search for Spock thing in a previous episode.
I think they'll find a way to bring this voice actor back in maybe some way or something, maybe playing a similar type of a character. We'll see what they do.
We need Denise Crosby. That's what we need.
We want Sela.
It's not a Star Trek series without Denise Crosby in it.
Do you guys think that they'll do any mirror universe episodes?
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh yeah.
It's heading there eventually. Yeah, we'll do the
Well,
mirror version.
It's kind of a tripe thing. Like they really have to.
You got to
Like,
establish
I
the
don't think they have
characters
an option.
first, and then do a mirror episode. You can't do
Yeah.
it too early.
Yeah.
Definitely a second. That was what Discovery did wrong. Is they were trying to go to mirror before we even knew who these people were.
That's what they did wrong.
Well, among other things.
Yeah, that's one of the many things they did wrong.
Actually, I disagree.
I'm still at the 5th episode of the first season.
I disagree. I think that is the best thing they did, and the worst thing they did was actually come back.
It actually was the best thing they did, but it was also
It was still bad.
I think a fundamental mistake in terms of
That whole series.
they could have
is a
done what they did with it,
mistake.
not in the first season too.
I'm like, just follow. Like, that's why we never heard of this ship. It was an experimental ship. They were in a mirror dimension.
I'm with you.
The
That's
end.
why
The end of the show is the show blows up.
The thing that they have to be very careful about doing a mirror episode, though, is that mirror episodes traditionally are pretty good episodes. Like even in Enterprise's mirror episode was fantastic.
Yes.
So
Evil Hoshi.
Evil Hoshi. Oh
Unfortunate
God,
that
Evil
I'll never
Hoshi.
see it.
Well, we're going to be doing a rewatch soon.
Well,
You're welcome to join.
I just tried again to watch it. And I made it 4 episodes, and I'm just like, no, I hate this.
Wait, you
I
passed
just hate
Broken
this.
Bow, parts 1 and part 2.
Which I
If you
like.
If you pass the first 2
I like-
episodes, you're already a hero.
I liked the first 2 episodes.
Broken
I
Bow,
thought, okay,
part
we're
1 and part
setting
2, I
up
think
or
we're good.
whatever. But then as it just the next 2, I don't know what it is. I just can't get into it.
Just
You
read
got to keep
summaries.
going, man.
Read summaries, dude.
Read the summaries until you get to season 3.
All right.
Yeah,
You'll be
it's
fine.
really don't even bother with the first 2 seasons.
Well, you kind of have to understand some of the stuff. You need to at least know what happened during those episodes.
That's a glowing recommendation for a
Barely.
show.
Like,
Well, that's what I would say about Discovery.
You know what?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even gone past the first season in Discovery personally, but
Oh, listen,
I
I agree. I made it 20 minutes into the first episode of Discovery and turned it off.
oh wow!
So I didn't have
I
subtitles.
at least gave it
for
a
the
little
first
bit more
episode.
time.
No, I was like, I'm not even watching this. I turned it off. I'm like, I'll watch it later. I'll binge watch it. And then I was like, I'm not going to watch that.
I watched the first season twice. Hated it equally. both
I'm
times.
currently 10 minutes into the 5th episode, and I can't decide whether I'm going to delete it off my Plex server or not. It's still there, but I haven't decided if I'm going to watch it.
I got.
I have no interest.
I'll be
well,
rewatching
and Star Trek Discovery is coming in next week for their 3rd season, but it's also, we were talking about this last night on the podcast, which was about how we are going to have Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Lower Decks, we have Star Trek Prodigy coming now.
Oh, they're filling the entire
Star Trek into
year.
the world.
That's what they're trying to do.
There's we have Star Trek Picard, of course, and then there's likely going to be a few more projects coming along in the very near future.
just anthology series, just like Star Trek Picard. They tell a story. They're done with the story. Let's move on to another character.
Yeah,
or
give it the
another
Rogue
story.
One treatment.
Do
That's
you
what
know
they
what
need
I
to do.
feel like I like about Lower Decks is that I'm looking for another Star Trek show that I can watch out of order, that I can put on shuffle, just a random episode.
Yeah, it's good for that.
Deep Space Nine, it does have a story through it, but once you know the story, each episode is sort of self-contained. But you don't have this in any of the newer ones. It's a
Discovery.
story.
That's what the worst part about the Discovery is how serialized it is. It takes Deep Space Nine was serialized as well, but not to the extent that
It wasn't as bad
each
though.
episode was standalone as well. Like
There's a lot of standalone DS9 episodes.
This is
for sure.
this is
Almost all of
Battlestar Galactica. Basically, the influence is like we're not doing Star Trek standalone things. You have to watch the previous episode to have any idea. Sorry,
Well,
too bad,
yeah.
too sad.
We live in a world of subscription television now, guys. Like this is gonna happen because that's how they get people to keep paying for it.
yeah,
You know, it's the same thing with Mandalorian. If they released the entire fucking season, I would have paid for one month and been done, right? And
Yeah.
now I'm just gonna fucking download them because I can't be bothered with Disney Plus anymore. So it's this is unfortunately we created this problem
Not me.
because well, no, everybody that has gone to the
Well, I
subscription
like
model,
some-
which is essentially
I like
me
some-
as well as everybody else for the most part.
I
but-
like it is actually how I like to watch most TV. I like that format. It's just
Mhm.
Star Trek. I kind of also like. I like the like being able to again watch it out of order. I'm really excited to watch this Lower Decks again on shuffle.
Yeah, I just went through all of them.
Put on a random episode and watch it. Like, there's something about that, something to be said for that you don't get anymore.
Here's something of interest. Gideon and Grace, obviously, for anybody who doesn't know, is my daughter and my son. Grace has always been a Trek fan. Like, she's okay with Star Trek. She likes Next Gen. She watches it all the time. Every time it's on, she'll sit and watch it with me. She's pretty good with Lower Decks. She likes it. She actually gets some of the references, which I was pretty proud of. Personally, I think obviously I'm doing something right in fatherhood. But Gideon, who is not a Star Trek fan at all, likes Lower Decks. Yeah, he doesn't get half of what's going on, but he likes it. He's like, "This is fun. I enjoy this." He goes, "The other stuff is too stuffy." Right. So,
I think it's also something to be said about entry point to Star Trek. I think that's definitely what Star Trek's trying to do, is diversify its fan bases with these different properties.
Well, Prodigy is a clear example of what they're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, I think Star Trek Discovery is a certain type of TV fan, and like the Netflix binger kind of fan.
Well, this isn't a new concept either. Like, Star Trek the animated series was supposed to do this exact same thing in the 60s, right? In the 70s. Or 70s, yeah.
In the 70s, it was like to get children watching
it. Yeah, it makes sense. Like, characters. And let's be honest, Star Trek for the most part is pretty kid-friendly anyway. Like, it's not too bad.
Very cerebral,
except for a couple of those scenes in Picard, though. Like the Hugh with his eye getting pulled out. That was pretty fun. Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Yeah, like I think that I think that that's a good thing, because I think Star Wars has been successful in that way in terms of great, some and some not animated stuff, right? So
commercially, the animated stuff has been the lifeblood for its.
The animated stuff is the only thing good about Star Wars right now.
We love Clone Wars and
the last good Star Wars movie was Rogue One. Fight me.
I will fight you because Last Jedi came out. Yep.
Last Jedi. Oh, you mean Jedi. The game?
No, the movie. I stand behind Last Jedi.
He stands behind.
That wasn't live action.
With Rion.
Right? That was live. 8.
Oh, you mean? Oh, okay. Sorry. Duh. Yeah. Okay. Now I'm following you now. Okay. I kind of tried to forget the last 3, but yes, that was the best one out of the 3 that just came out. Yeah. For sure. That last one was a pile of shit. Yes. The middle one was still better.
And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly
why. I am
this isn't what this podcast
I'm looking
is
in
about,
the video
guys.
scope, and I'm telling you the reason why.
I think it's necessary.
The problem with Star Wars has been, outside of like Clone Wars, which has been very enjoyable and an up and down kind of storytelling, like the new movies were like on a track that you knew exactly where it started and where it was going to end, and there was no excitement. There was no type of like, are we going to do anything different? I understand why for the prequels, because we already knew what the destination was, and it was just a matter of aligning to get there. But you have a new series, and your first movie was basically a remake of A New Hope. And the complaint was what? Oh, this is just like The New Hope. And then they make a movie where it's like, you know what? We're going off in a new direction. You don't know what the hell we're going to do. You thought that bad guy there is the big bad? Nope. He's dead. Right? You don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know where the series was going to go at all. Yeah. And then I've never seen a franchise take a step back and basically just like tuck tail and run. They're like, we need to go back to shelter with what George Lucas has remade before, and we're gonna remake Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back all at the same time. It was such a lazy movie. Rise of Skywalker. The Last Jedi was a very ambitious thing. It's overtly long. I will not disagree that there's things that could cut out, but there's a reason why each piece of it is there.
Even the casino stuff?
Even the casino stuff.
Last Jedi was the Star Wars movie that made me go, never again. I will never watch another Star Wars movie ever again.
That's probably good for you though, because if you watch Skywalker,
I was never a big fan, so it's not a big loss for the franchise. But I did watch them, and Last Jedi I was like, no, I won't. I'm out. We went with my brother-in-law, and I hate people that take their phones out in movies, and he was sitting right beside me. He took his phone out. I looked at him, and I thought, I get it.
Last Jedi was visually appalling.
I'll give you that.
It was appalling.
I absolutely disagree.
When Leia was flying through space, I literally said, "What the fuck?" out loud in the theater. I was appalled. Yeah. Number 2, the first half of the movie was taking it in such a good direction, and then they shit the bed. It's like they were like, "We're going to do all this great stuff, and we're going to make it this great thing that nobody's going to see coming." Actually, we changed our mind, and we're going to cop out.
How did they cop out?
I literally wished I wasn't there.
How did they cop out?
This is a Star Trek thing, guys.
Dave's like, I'm not in control.
I'm just hearing you out. I'm hearing,
what better
Star Wars deep dive?
What better Star Trek podcast is there than Star Trek fans shitting on Star Wars?
Yeah.
But Lower Decks is enjoyable and in a different direction than regular Star Wars.
Lower Decks never made me wish I was somewhere else.
No, and there you go. That's a testament to something.
I dare you to watch Rise of Skywalker.
Dude. Look, as bad as we complain about the first couple episodes of Lower Decks,
I'll watch them in a heartbeat over Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker is an abomination.
A million times more, yep. I liked Rogue One, though. I'm sorry.
Rogue One was great.
I like Rogue One too. Okay, and I think but here's what I think is the problem, and I think what we should take from this whole conversation with Star Wars as it relates to Lower Decks is that that new trilogy with Star Wars. You have J.J. Abrams who makes this first movie, and then you have Rian, whatever the hell his name is, Rian Johnson, who makes the second movie. He's a good filmmaker, but the problem was that they had no cohesive plan for their trilogy. They were like, no, we're gonna get J.J. to make this opener, then we're gonna get this artsy guy Rian to make this second movie, and it was not going to be JJ for the third movie. It was going to be something else, and they were just hoping that there was going to be magic to that, and but it didn't, because you had two diametrically opposed views. And here in Lower Decks, we don't have that so much. We have Mike McMahon, who is the showrunner of this show, who I think is great. I think what he's done with this whole series is amazing. I think that they have a cohesive viewpoint. Rewatching these early episodes, as much as I was struggling with some of those early episodes the first time, looking back, I feel like Mariner and Boimler are pretty much who they've been the whole time. I feel like I understand Tendi a little bit more on the rewatch of the first couple of episodes, especially she's just like the enthusiastic nurse. That's what she is. I keep forgetting that.
See, the problem that I think that's going to happen is we're going to have franchise fatigue again, because Star Trek is going too fast. And it's this same thing happened when Enterprise came out, because we had a whole bunch of shows that were all running or they were in syndication at this point and stuff like that. And it's just too much. There's too much fatigue going on. And then you got movies on top of that, and now they're already talking about doing more Star Trek movies again. And it's like, when are we going to learn here? We got to slow down. There's way too many. There's too many series coming out, and I know, Jamil, you want Star Trek all year round, and I'm not against that idea. But maybe pump money into other shows and do 24 episodes of.
I don't think they're
Lower Decks or something.
I just want to clarify on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do like the idea of year-round Star Trek, but my idea is it is not the same show. Right? Picard is different than Lower Decks. Lower Decks is different than Discovery.
I'm all for the anthology idea. Yeah,
right? Anthologies will work, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the thought process should be not just to put Star Trek on the air. The thought process and the whole mission statement should be, we want to tell interesting stories via the Star Trek universe, and that's what we're going to do. If we don't have a good story, we're not going to produce a show. Hey, this year we have 3 shows. Next year, I'm sorry, we only have really one story we want to tell, right?
Yeah.
And you do it like that.
They're not going to do that though.
Well,
But that's how you avoid franchise fatigue. It has nothing to do with having too much on the air and too many things running at the same time. They need to not be pumping it out so fast that they're pumping out garbage.
Yes.
That was the problem. They were saying that it was getting to franchise fatigue for the TNG movies. No. Their sales went down because the last movie was garbage.
No, you're right. The last two were garbage.
Not franchise fatigue. It was that we were like, no, can you give us something good? Because
I don't disagree with you on that, but I still think there is some fatigue there.
Great. We got Deep Space Nine that was great. We got a few good TNG movies. Mm-hmm. Voyager, I enjoyed. Lots of people enjoyed. It was a good story. And then they pumped out garbage, and we were like, give us something good, and they just killed it.
Yeah, I grew up with Next Gen. I got really excited when DS9 came out. I remember watching them both at the same time. Obviously, one eventually quit before the other one did, but I remember that. I remember seeing the movies, but I remember when Voyager came out, my first thought was, why do I need another one? Like, why do I need this? And that's the thing that I think is going to, I'm already thinking of that. Why do I need Brave New Worlds? Why do I need that?
Strange New Worlds.
Or Strange New Worlds, excuse me. Why do I need that? I already have that preconceived notion in my head, yet I haven't even seen it. It might be the best show ever, and I don't know yet because I haven't seen it. But, it's that, I think the mentality there, I agree with you completely, Ash. I think if you have good stories to tell, and same thing with Jamil, good stories to tell, you can keep going. Right, but that's the problem. They don't.
Is your problem with Strange New Worlds Star Trek fatigue or prequel fatigue? Why?
A little bit of both, I think.
Set before original series. Why?
Yeah, but I remember. I specifically remember Voyager, and I knew it was happening around the same time as Next Gen, if not a little bit later. But it's I remember that, and I remember thinking to myself, why do I need this? I just got through Next Gen. And DS9, I'm on I think fourth season is when they announced Voyager, fourth season.
Voyager
starts in Deep Space Nine.
Season 5?
Season 5, yeah, because they announced it, and I remember when they announced it, I'm like, I don't need this. And then I still watched it, and I didn't mind it for the first couple seasons, but then I was like, eh. But, I just, my problem is, and I agree with both of you, I think if you can get good quality stories, it doesn't matter how many series there are. But I also think there's still that preconceived notion that a lot of people have. And unfortunately, if I have it and other people have it and people don't watch it, it's going to die anyway, how good it is. Right. So that's the kind of thing that I look at the franchise fatigue as more of a, how many people want it, not how good it's going to be. Like Picard, I had high expectations for, like massive high expectations. And I was very disappointed, but I still enjoyed it. But do I need it? I'm not even looking forward to the next season. Like, I don't care already. And that bothers me a bit because obviously I'm a big fan.
On that note, since this is a Lower Decks podcast, I'm so happy
keep us on track
that there's finally, it's been so long since there has been a Star Trek that I have looked forward to having more of.
Yes.
And
completely
finally,
agree. Yep.
This is what this show is for me, and it's sad that it has to be a comedy and it has to be a fucking cartoon.
It doesn't bother me. It's a cartoon.
They knocked it out of the park for me, and it's so nice.
I agree with you.
To have something I look forward to because I've been so down. It's been since Voyager. I haven't liked anything since Voyager.
You liked the original, the 2009 movie, right? And that was about it.
I mean, shows.
He means the TV shows.
Yeah,
I did
in
like
terms of what Star Trek has put out. You like all three of those movies. No, you don't like the last movie. You like the first.
No,
one.
I don't like the last one.
I only like the first one.
The last one. I don't know what happens. Seen it like 4 times.
Most of us don't.
Scrambles your brain.
I have a question.
Yes.
Instead of and I kind of mentioned, I don't know if you watched last episode, the podcast for it. I asked, what song would you replace the Star Trek, the Next Generation theme music when the Titan came in? What would be the worst song to
Sabotage? I don't disagree with you. And right now it's a sabotage. Yeah. No, and I guess the point I'm trying to make, though, is that we're getting all these new series and they're pumping all this money into these series. But then you have a show like Lower Decks, which I'm with Kevin on this one. This is the only show I'm actually going, I've only got to watch 10 episodes. I want to see more. Yeah. Right. Why don't we get rid of one of these shows that aren't doing well or not going to do well and just scrap it all together and say, fuck it, and put more money into something that, works decently? Like, we can't be the only, 5 people on the planet that like this fucking show. Like, come on.
I think that's a bad idea. Yeah. I think we don't want more. We want to keep the production the way it is. Yeah. Because you're going to mess with the secret sauce.
I don't want 10 episodes. People that have contracts on these other shows coming over to Lower Decks.
It's like,
well, that's true, I guess.
We're doing 10 episodes a season. The next season,
I think 10 is a little low. I really.
If it's 10, if it's 8 out of 10,
hope they expand
good episodes, then I'm happy with that.
I want to see at least an 18 episode run for the next season.
I would love that. I think that more content here would be better.
It needs more, Jamil. It doesn't need a lot more, but it needs more. 10 is not enough to sell people.
I want it to be an adequate amount of episodes, but not at all sacrificing the quality.
No, I agree.
Here's my big question, because this is okay, and this is Star Trek in 22-minute episodes. This is the only.
And that's one of the biggest problemms I have with this series.
Even the other Star Trek animated show, I think is a full hour, right? Like, so this is the only time.
It was 50 minutes, yeah.
This is the only time we ever had a Star Trek anything that's this short, other than the show.
Like we're dealing with a show that obviously has to go on.
It's funny, and I think with a show like this, I think a 45-minute to an hour episode is too much. I think it's too much.
I disagree.
I feel that because they're on subscription channels and not necessarily made for television, that they should make the episode as long as the story requires it to be.
It needs.
Right.
Yeah.
So if the story is, hey, look at the last episode. That was, 22 minutes, 24 minutes. And that felt like a lot in it.
I actually, at one point in that last episode, went, is this a double episode? Like, It really felt like it was longer. They told so much. They did so much.
But that's my actual criticism of the last episode, was because there needed to be more. And that's the thing I didn't like. Like, number one, the whole Rutherford subplot thing, I didn't really care that much for, even though I guess technically it comes in later. But I think, and that's the problem with this 4-character thing that they got going on here, because they want to tell everybody's story at the same time. And I'm okay with that, but I think we have too many characters for 22 minutes. And I'm okay with them dropping at least one character. I'm okay with that. If they send off Boimler, whatever his fucking name is, the bro guy. If they send him off on the Titan and they get a different show with that, and they just have the 3 for the next seasons going forward, I wouldn't cry that hard about it. Let's put it that way, because the last episode to me literally got summed up in like 2 minutes, and that bothered me, because we got all these really cool shit things going on. Like, you got the Titan showing up, and it's literally like 3 seconds of Titan, and then that's it. To me, that's what it felt like. I would have liked to see a little bit more going on. But 22. I'm with Jamil on this. I think they need to tell as much of the story as they need to, and I think they need to stop constraining themselves to that 22-minute mark. I understand why they're doing it, because they got to get it on network television, and 22 minutes is your sweet spot for half-hour show, obviously.
The problem is sometimes artistic types that don't have constraints make shit.
Yeah,
true. Doctor Who is a perfect example of that.
That's why you have to have a good showrunner
to be able to edit their shit down to the stuff that's actually good.
Yeah,
right. And
that's
why
sometimes they have to be forced to do it to kill their darlings.
You need a good showrunner.
Get rid of the shit that's not working. Sorry,
we're fans. I'm sorry, but we're fans of shows like Supernatural, right? And we know that when Eric Kripke went from maybe not Jody, but when he left the show after the 5th season, and then it went into the next era, and then there was the next showrunner and so forth. The show fundamentally changes. That is the creative president, if you will, of the show. at that given time. And Mike McMahon, who's also the creator, in this case, he has to sign off on everything, even though he doesn't technically write every episode. He kind of does. He's got the final edit. And I think that what he did with this show was gave it a heart. I think he understands that, even though Mariner, who seems to thumb her nose at all authority and seems to dislike responsibility and whatever, obviously has a heart, is good, is competent, does bend the rules, but not doesn't do anything that would be crossing the line. And there's a lot of morality to that.
I think you're right. I think the characters that the characters that they've focused on, they've tried to make them not one-dimensional, not just like
except for the green girl.
Tendy, yeah.
Yeah, but they haven't really focused on her that much. Like they've done it with some characters and not with some others. Right?
Honestly, if they got rid of her, I would have no problem.
Come on, you want that slave episode.
And that's why
maybe the slave episode.
This is in no way Family Guy in Star Trek. It's closer to Simpsons in Star Trek, maybe, but only the early Simpsons. I mean, and where the Simpsons had
it's funny, but they have souls, basically.
A heart, and they have to fundamentally love each other. Is like as in the case of the Simpsons, right? And with the Star Trek crew, it's not love; it's more of a camaraderie or a team atmosphere, a sense of family, maybe. And so that already, I think that this crew of the Cerritos is sort of now a family, and we have way less content with them than we would with like a live action crew, even like on Discovery, who has the same episode count, but just has much longer episodes and way more production value and everything else. But that's not really what I need in Star Trek. I don't need it to be flashy. I just need it to be a good story. I need it to be character focused and telling me something, maybe trying to tell me a story or a lesson or a morale.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think the main point that I'm trying to make here, Dave, is the fact that 22 minutes isn't good enough to tell the story all the time. And I think I'm with Jamil on this one. It's if they want to cut it down for time, that's fine, or they want to run an extended episode and play back a bunch of dumb shit on network television, that's fine. But we unfortunately are, when I say we, I mean the general population has really created this problem, because network television's going bye-bye, and we have all these streaming services. Once that happens, then we kind of get that freedom, right? Where right now we don't have it, because we're in that middle point right now. I don't know the last time you guys watch network television, but I don't watch it very often.
We watch it Big Brother 3 times a week on Super Mario Brothers Podcasting.
Yeah, but is that something that you could stream?
For us, it's at least 10 years ago, probably more.
Oh yeah, we cut cable 12 years ago.
Everything on the internet was still buffering when we cut cable.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I followed suit with you guys.
Something on a stream and then press pause and let it buffer.
And wait 20 minutes and then watch it.
So I'm the person that's still watching traditional network television. And a lot of people still complain when they're like, oh, I don't want to watch the show episode by episode. I want to watch it all at once, so I'm going to wait till it's on Netflix or whatever streaming platform. Me personally, for me to get the most bang for my buck in terms of a show, I like to watch it weekly, right? Or I like to watch it in the sense of I watch the show and I think about what I watch, as opposed to just moving on to the next thing, and then it just becomes this big blob of content, and I'm supposed to glean the enjoyment from there. Right, I'm old school. I waited that year and a half for that next season of Lost. Right, right now people would go crazy when there's like, I have to wait 3 months for the next season of Rick and Morty. Like,
yeah, I waited 2.5 years in between seasons of Sherlock. I get waiting for
I have you beat.
And I have no problem. I have no problem watching week to week. And there are several shows that I do watch week to week because I don't want spoilers. My problem is
that's the problem.
I refuse to pay $120 a month to watch commercials. So,
and that's kind of the thing. Yeah.
Until cable channels let you pick and choose which channels you want, and you don't have to pay $55 to $65 for the base. Plus,
you can do that. Yeah.
Packages.
But there's a base still and all that. Yeah.
It's still the base. And
you gotta sell that local programming.
It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm kind of in the middle part here because I have IPTV, so I have like 5,000 channels that I have access to, and I get to see commercials if I watch something on it. I don't really watch it. I occasionally, if I can't get something, through my normal sources, then I generally either wait for it. But if it's something that I really want to see right away, then I'll find it on the.
Watch a show, but I actually think there is something to what you say, Jamil, because you're right. It does. Even Lower Decks, I watched it in chunks, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And the episodes blend together. Like I don't really. I have a sort
it is
of
harder to determine that. Yeah.
Understanding of what happened in the season, but I don't deeply remember it. Like
and that's.
But
and that's kind of the thing that you have, because you end up having. Sorry, Ash, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but I think that's the thing with streaming that's kind of nice, because we don't always have time to sit down weekly and watch the show live. There's some super fans that do, like obviously David Jamil, very big on the Big Brother and all that stuff, and you know what, that's fine, and that's your thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying is, like, not all of us want to do that at that sad interval on that day, that kind of thing. I want to see when I can see it, when I have the free time to do it, or if I let's say something airs at a certain time of day that I have a kid thing I have to deal with or something like that, then you can't see it live, right? So I understand the value of both ways, and that's kind of why I still have the video. I pay for the $10 a month, whatever it is, where you get all the channels. I don't think it's legal, but whatever. So I just have a box and I do that, right? So I get all the channels, but I still don't watch it. I have 5,000 channels available to me, and I'm like, fuck, I still once in a while I'll watch CNN or I'll watch Fox News to see what kind of bullshit's going on, but that's about it.
Yeah,
plant those seeds.
Our issue with and why we cut the cable originally was because I work in the restaurant industry and I work nights. So we were streaming, we were paying for cable and then streaming so we could watch shows together, and that's why we cut it. So
yeah, it makes sense. I get it all.
That was the thing. If CTV, like I would pay for CTV, the CTV streaming thing, if they allowed you to buy it without having a cable service. But
that's the other thing that's really stupid in Canada. All those apps that they have for all these channels, they're like, oh yeah, you can watch all these episodes, but it's like, yeah, but you also have to put in your Kojiko account number and all that shit. It's like, whatever.
Only the sports channels actually allow you to buy it a la carte.
Yeah, which is
that's the only reason why I have the video on demand shit, because is the sports stuff. Yeah, I just watch hockey.
Looking at the app because I was like, oh, it has the sci-fi stuff. We could watch Lower Decks on that, and then we could watch it as soon as it is airing, right? Because you can watch.
Well, I remember Dave giving me shit because I would watch it because I would download it, but he hasn't seen it yet because it's on the CTV thing that he watches, right? Yeah. So he watches what does it air in Canada?
It airs at 9 on Thursdays.
9 on Thursdays. So yeah, I usually get it around like 6, right? So I'll watch it and then I'll be like, oh Dave, this episode's really good, and he's like, shut up, don't tell me. So.
How is it that CBC has a subscription service for you to watch their shows, right? And only their shows, but CTV, which has like a plethora. Thank you.
That's a hard one, actually. Yeah, I'm with you.
I started saying it wrong too.
I just said it wrong.
Of channels, not just one. They have multiple channels, and they can't put together a package. And like the CBC one, I think is like $3 or $4 a month.
It's $5.99, or
totally off, Jamil.
Or it's free, and you just watch a commercial before you start.
Yeah,
you don't even need to pay.
It's because CBC
it's public broadcast,
right?
So
it's public broadcasting. So
but you have to watch commercials.
I watch Murdoch on the CBC thing so that I can watch the new episodes, and I'll watch.
I'm not the host.
I can watch it for free.
Yeah, I'm not the host, but I think we're getting way off a topic here.
We're way off topic.
So rounding back, right? I just wish there were more options for people to watch Lower Decks as opposed to, because we can't watch it through CBS All Access, there isn't an on-demand portion of CTV Sci-Fi was what I meant.
Yeah.
Sorry,
is it on
Dave.
Crave?
It is.
It is on Crave.
In Canada, it's on Crave.
Oh, okay.
So if you have Crave, you have that. So, like, if your preference is a streaming platform in Canada, there's in both countries, because it doesn't air on CBS, proper CBS in the States. It airs on their streaming platform.
If all these jackasses were smart, they would amalgamate all their goddamn services. So you pay one thing and then you just pay per
That
use
will
or
be
something.
the new cable. That will be the new cable.
You just described cable.
But I'm okay with that if they do that way. Like, I might actually consider it. You charge me a base like $5 a month, and then I pay like 10 cents an episode or something. I'm good with that.
The problem is, though, if they all get together, it goes back to $150 for.
Of course, I know it's a pipe dream and it'll never happen. I get it.
To watch commercials, so.
But I think there's always going to be another, like, it doesn't really matter. We're not here to talk about that, but
It's been like half an hour of non-Star Trek talk.
The person who's tuning in on YouTube's like, what the fuck is this? I thought this was about Star Trek.
I get these are related issues to what we're talking about. They're not completely, they're off course, but we're still in the same quadrant.
Here, let's just sum it up.
Dave,
in Canada, we're getting screwed.
Dave,
we're getting screwed by network television.
Dave's taking the helm.
Good.
Jane says she's loving the off-topic combos. I don't know. She thinks we're exploring strange new worlds ourselves, and new civilizations.
What?
Get back to the show. Let's get back to the show, and let's get back to these characters who we all said we like. Star Trek, Lower Decks. Okay, let's just talk about them one at a time. Okay, so we kind of got everybody's favorites and whatever at the beginning of the show, but let's go one at a time. So let's talk about Mariner. In terms of like let's go to Kevin first. How do you feel about Mariner as just a character on the show?
I hated Mariner at first.
Me too.
At the beginning, like right the first episode before the credits, that whole thing where she's drunk and got the fucking bat'leth. I was like, I hate this show. I hate everything about it. I'm going to hate the whole thing. I hated it. And I didn't like her. I thought she was a spaz. I thought this show was going to just be Rick and Morty in space.
Yep.
And I'm really glad that didn't happen.
The first couple episodes were kind of like that.
In that second episode, they give, that's the one where,
the second episode is the Klingon,
and they give her some depth in that episode and some compassion for Boimler. She's not just screwing with him; she really cares about him. And I think, and then all the stuff with her mother, they really develop her well throughout the entire series. I think.
Ashley,
I like her.
Yeah, from the beginning, from the start. Yeah. Because I was watching that opening scene today, when the one with the bat'leth and she's drunk and whatever, and it's either by accident or by design. I don't know if they wanted us to like her that much to start. I think they wanted us to sort of come around on her.
That's true.
Because it doesn't. I don't think that scene does her character any favors.
No,
as an introduction, especially, but. I do like her as well. I like her. She's grown on me quite a bit, especially in episode 9 is really where I think she won me over.
Yeah,
that was a great episode.
Very
Jody?
Excellent episode.
I'm with Kevin on this one. The first couple episodes I did not enjoy her at all. Your current comment though that you just said about how we probably shouldn't have liked her to begin with. Thinking about it that way, I guess that makes more sense then. The character itself, I still find is a little too loose to begin with. Like they're not. I can't say they're still consistent with her though. They're really not. But overall, I think the character is not bad. If I'm gonna out of the 4, if I have to get rid of one, it wouldn't be her. Let's put it that way.
Okay. And Jamil, I think you've talked about Mariner. But, do you have anything you want to say about her?
Not really. She is who she is, and I'm glad to see that they've kind of showed the full character as opposed to that annoying like service level that we saw in the first episode that was like, this is going to be difficult. And I'm kind of looking forward to see what happens in the future.
Okay, let's move on to Boimler. Ensign Brad Boimler, who is now Lieutenant Junior Grade Brad Boimler as of the last episode, and serving on
for a moment,
for a hot second at least. Jody, what do you want to say about Brad Boimler? What's your thoughts on this character?
I don't like him, and it's not because he's a kiss ass. I kind of like that edge to him, but there's nothing genuine about that performance. Even the voice acting on it, I don't like.
It's voiced by Jack Quaid.
Yes, yeah, and I'm not saying that the character is terrible, but it's definitely not my top character for sure. I honestly, whenever he gets in trouble, I honestly don't care if he gets out of it, and that's an instant no-go. Like, if you compare this back, and of course we're going to compare it to Next Gen because that's kind of the closest thing to it. But Next Gen, yeah, I feel like him, like I feel about Jody. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care what happens to Jody, and I don't care what happens to Boimler.
Jody, you care what happens to Jody?
No, I don't care.
Cool,
I don't care about Jody. And you know what? That's fine. If you like Jody, you like Jody. I get it, but I don't care about that character, just like I don't care about Jody. I guess is the easiest way to say it. I don't wish him any particular harm, but if he disappears, I don't care.
Okay, over to Ashley. Ashley, do you like Boimler more than Jody, or do you like Boimler?
Now the comparison. Who do you like more, Jody or Boimler?
I like Jody more than Boimler.
Me too.
He's fine, but he's like, out of the four of them, he's number 3 for me.
Right.
Like, he's just fine. Like, there's nothing that stands out for me for him. It's not his lines that are making me laugh. He's just there.
His situations might make you laugh, but yeah, his lines definitely don't.
Sometimes a little bit for me. But and Kevin, your thoughts on Boimler?
I think Boimler has to be Boimler. I think he's a yin to Mariner's yang.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not a character I enjoy. But without him in the show, I don't think it would be as good.
Yeah.
Like, I think he has to be there, but I don't think he's supposed to be your favorite character.
Yeah, he's got it. They have to have someone be the straight man.
Yeah, but not really. Like, I don't know.
He's almost like Barkley to me.
He is like Barkley. He's just setting up.
I like him more than Barkley.
It's kind of like
a little bit more of a spine than Barkley.
Like Barkley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he has a great start.
At least they kind of showed him okay in the last episode, because in the last episode, at least he was kind of like being a little bit more loose, like he was giving out the stuff on the planet with on beta 3 or whatever. So I guess in a way, yeah. But
I think compare him to.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
Who could you compare him to?
Naomi Wilder.
No, Naomi Wilder.
Now, does he really deserve that?
I'd say first season Bashir is a good comparison. Like, just in terms of that annoying, this person no one can remember or be bothered to talk to. Let's move.
Jamil, I like Bashir more though.
Jamil, just before we move off of Boimler, anything you want to say about Boimler?
No, like, everyone is pretty. You're gonna hear it repeat a lot more. Like, I feel like I can't really take anything away from the characters because of, especially, my negative opinion would be how they started, but I can't really truly put all the blame on how I feel at that beginning part, or I can't be angry about that beginning part, because the destination that I got the last episode, it felt like I saw some growth, and therefore and part of my enjoyment is taken from that. So therefore I have to appreciate who he was, so that I can really, really love who he is currently. So that's how I feel about Boimler.
Okay. And I just want to talk, because these other two leads of the show, which is Devana Tendi, the Orion
barely
medical
leads
officer, and Ensign Sam Rutherford, who is a human with who's enhanced with some kind of a cybernetic device from Vulcan, right up to the last moments in this finale, and. Yeah. So let's talk about Devana a little bit, or Tendi. What do we call her? Do we call her Tendi or do we call her Devana?
We call her Tendi. That's how everyone calls her Tendi.
I didn't
everybody
even
refers
know
to
her
her as
name
Tandy.
when we started this podcast. Like,
Well,
she's one of, I think the one character I didn't bother to know her name. I'm not a fan.
yeah.
She doesn't really do anything.
Yeah.
Really.
She's very enthusiastic. She goes,
extra comp than Tendy.
Jody, your thoughts on Tendy?
I'm with Kevin. I think the Exo Comp was definitely had much more personality than Tendy. But yeah, I'm kind of with the consensus so far. With she really is nothing useful to the series, and I don't know. Like, I hope they do something with her, but right now she's not doing anything, and there's nothing that I really care about with her. Like the whole thing with the dog when she did the made the dog episode, that was kind of funny, I guess, but still, like, anybody could have did that. It didn't have to be her. So
Yeah, but the dog was
there's
the
nothing
star,
special about that.
not her.
What's that?
The dog was the star, not her.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she made a dog, and the dog was more interesting than her.
The only useful part of Tendy is to give us scenes with the doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I thought in the episode Veritas,
She's like that. What's her name? The one that was always hanging out with Beverly Crusher.
right, like the nurse, but like Nurse Ogawa, but
Lagawa, that's it.
But I thought in the episode Veritas, which is where they think they're on trial, but it ends up being a birthday party, and there's this whole thing with Tendy and her story in that, and how she went on this black ops mission with Ransom, and she was like, like, that can't possibly happen. She's like, you're right, it did it. And I thought, like, a lot of that stuff was sort of her highlight moment in this whole season, in terms of her funniest stuff and her, like, sort of being useful as well, I thought, too.
And that's a perfect example of what I said earlier. With that episode is a prime example of the 22-minute thing not working well, because we had four distinct stories and none of them were really that interesting, I thought, in that entire episode. So
that was the one.
I guess
Q showed up on that one too.
They got Q, but just so
boring.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? Like, they didn't use Q the way they could have used Q.
I don't even remember Q. That's how.
And you know what? You're probably better off for it.
Episode. Is there an episode you don't remember Q being in? No. So.
Yeah, that ought to tell you something. His character itself is very predominant in any episode he's in. Even if it's a crappy episode, he's still very predominant in it. Mm-hmm. And in this one, like, it was literally a blink and you can miss it kind of thing. So. Ashley,
any thoughts else on Tendy?
No, she's my least favorite.
Okay, and Jaemeel, I'm just skip you on this one.
Yeah, who is Tendy?
Who's Tendy?
Sam. Well, the one thing with this show is 10 episodes. It's hard to give a story to every character.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's Jody's point.
Season, and I'll change my mind. I'm open to it.
Maybe
we'll see.
They have a lot of flexibility because they're on a streaming platform. I know it airs with commercials in Canada, so maybe that does have some influence in their decisions. But
I doubt it.
Let's talk about Sam Rutherford. So he was the guy that's got the implant. He's kind of the quirky guy, loves engineering, loves his job. He's kind of a Geordie LaForge-esque character, maybe a little bit, but more goofy, enthusiastic. Let's go to Ashley first. What do you think about Rutherford?
I love Rutherford. I think Rutherford is hilarious. I love his, like, total love of everything engineering, even the tiniest little thing, like just fixing one, like just adjusting one thing by like 0.1 whatever.
He wants to crawl through Jeffrey's tubes.
Right? The movie episode, and he's like, I can finally tell my boss what I think about him, and you think he's going to go and tell him off, and he's like, I love you. You're the best engineer. I love Rutherford. I love his positivity about everything engineering.
Yeah, just the way he delivers lines is like, oh, I wanted to get Nadon monitoring. I got Polaron monitoring. Damn. Like, you're like, whatever.
I think
he keeps switching to see if he would prefer medical or security or whatever. Like, that episode is hilarious. He's funny. I like having that just not he's not pro Starfleet like Boimler is. He's just pro engineering. He just loves to fix shit. I like it.
Jody?
Well, you didn't get Kevin yet.
Oh, I can go to Kevin last.
Oh, okay. I just didn't want to miss it there if that's what you're doing. I think he's a missed opportunity, but he's a good character. I think he should actually be the opposite of what's her name? Mariner. I think he should be the opposite of Mariner. He's just so, you kind of get a vibe of he's just so sweet, he's so honest, and he just loves doing what he's doing, and exactly what Ashley said. I think he should actually be the moral compass of the group. And I don't even know who the moral compass of the group is right now. But I think that character can definitely go further. I think, I wouldn't say he was underused. I think he was pretty decent for the first season, but the only thing I didn't like about him was the last episode. I didn't like him in the last episode, but every other episode he's been in, nothing but gold. I think he's, and actually the episode that you're talking about where he's going through all the different professions on the ship, I think was one of the highlights of his appearance on the first season for sure. It's just, I think it's a strong character. I think it's decent. I think there's a lot they can work with. The stupid button joke thing that he was doing in the last episode was the only thing that drove me nuts about his entire character. But past that, it's,
like that might be done,
I think he's a solid character.
It looks like that gimmick for him might be done for the first season. So
I hope so.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think there's so much more you could do with him.
Kevin, so Rutherford, any thoughts?
He's fine. I don't feel like I know him yet. I like I said, it's hard to get to know all of the characters in 10 episodes. I don't feel like they've done a lot. I do like the episode where he's going through all the different professions. I think that's an excellent episode, and he's good in it. I'm excited to see what they do with him in the future. But as for this season, he is meh.
I think we know more about him than we do about some of the other characters.
But I don't love him. Whatever. Basically.
Just don't let him do command. He kills a lot of children.
Yeah, only in simulations.
And they need to keep away from the whole relationship thing, because all you get is a Geordie vibe every time the relationship things come up.
I don't need a Rutherford romance. They were flirting at a Tendi Rutherford romance, which I was not into.
He already has a romance.
Yeah, his job.
With the ship.
His job in the ship.
We're all good
when you
that.
touch the controls, you're touching me, Jordy.
Yeah, that's
his romance.
Maybe a hologram.
Oh my God.
Right. On the segue though, Kevin, you had mentioned your favorite character is Carol Freeman, the captain, the mother.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know why though.
Yeah, well, tell me. Can you tell me something about why?
He just told you he doesn't know why.
He doesn't know why. She's just.
I can tell you why I like her.
Okay, Jaemeel, tell me why you like Carol Freeman.
One, she's competent at her job. This would not work if she was just a lousy captain. She isn't, right?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Two, she is like the audience, understands the kind of hypocrisy and idiocy of how Starfleet operates, right? So she still does her job, but she also voices her displeasure at the situation. She talks about the cool stuff about being a Starfleet captain, which we all agree on, right? You don't want to be second contact. You want to be first contact. You want to be kicking butt and taking names, right? You want to be, leading point on missions and stuff, right? And third,
she accepts what she is, though. Yeah.
Thank you for voicing what was my obviously third, even though it was my fourth finger.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
She accepts, she understands her limitations. She does, right? She understands the situation that she's in. Her scenes with her daughter aren't so annoyingly I don't want to feel like I'm watching a sitcom all the time. And I think their banter for the most part works. For the most part.
It really does.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. When it's in public sometimes I'm not too much of a fan, but when you see them, when they have those like personal sequences and they're just bouncing back and forth, I think it works very well. So her as a character with the understanding that Mariner and company are the main characters, she does a great job, I feel.
Yeah.
Captain Freeman.
And when they're together alone, you buy that they're mother and daughter and that it is also complicated. Yes,
Right.
you
Yeah.
buy it.
But it's not a lovey relationship. Like,
But it
she
is.
knows her daughter is a fuck up.
But it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A
The point where
competent fuck up.
I want the
Competence.
dad to get involved. I want to know
Yeah,
more
that's
about
right.
how he fits into this. The admiral.
You know,
need
it's
it.
a complicated mother-daughter
need him.
relationship.
I don't need her dad. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with. If they never show him again, I'm fine.
Well,
Yeah.
I like to see it's canon, so I need to see more. So it's just moving on to the character. Oh no, okay. Anyone
It's
want
funny
to-
that you mentioned that because I actually looked up whether people think that this is canon, and most of people say yes, it is canon. So that's pretty
because-
interesting, I thought.
it's,
Because the showrunners
Why do
say
people
it is.
care?
Some
This is
people
what
care.
I don't understand. Why do you care if it's canon?
I
do
don't.
you like it?
Kevin,
You,
do you
you
care
just
the
that
fictional
crazy
show
nerd.
being fictional to the fictional universe of another show? It doesn't matter. It's all fiction.
But some people do enjoy that, and that's something that maybe other people, especially some other people on this panel, might enjoy, and that's fine.
I really like when they tie shit together, but I'm not married to it. I don't hate shit because they don't tie it together,
well,
or because they change little things. Like
this is
Whether it's canon or not, in reality, if you're enjoying the fucking show, that's really what matters. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to the next episodes, and I don't care if it's canon or not. So I'm just glad they're getting a lot of references correctly. That's
if
right.
we don't care, then we'll just say it is. All right. So moving on, Carol Freeman.
Twist that knife.
Dave.
I'm fine with that, Dave. I'm fine with that because I actually really don't care.
Dave, me and
Yeah,
you.
that's right. Yeah.
Me and you. And Jane.
It's canon. Sorry,
Hey.
Jeff.
Yes.
I consider it
It's
canon.
happening, and I agree. I like this idea that Carol Freeman is the second female captain of a main Star Trek show.
Yeah.
Well, I
That's
guess
fine.
count Georgiou maybe, which she lasted for like
This
2
is
seconds.
4.
No, Discovery isn't canon.
Four
Discovery's not
different
canon.
captains, 4 different female captains already in this series.
I'm talking about
That's
Janeway.
true.
I'm talking about Janeway and now Freeman.
But also, like in other ships that's shown this season, there are other captains.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
been,
yeah,
there's
like,
been other women.
I mean,
4.
like the main of the main ship we're following, right? Like on a
Okay,
show.
sure. All right.
Not like captains who come in.
A lead character, I think, is what he's trying to say.
Other female captains through various series.
Tons of them.
but
Oh yeah, well there was the one in Star Trek 4 who was the captain.
There's
of
also
Saratoga.
billions of women admirals around. Well, you think that they hit captain at one point or another?
Nah,
Because they
just
probably did.
skipped a level.
Like, yeah,
Not the-
they don't. It's not like skipping second grade here, guys.
There were
like
female
they usually have to go up
admirals
the ranks.
on Next Gen before Janeway was
That's right.
captain. It didn't take away from
That's
the significance of Janeway being the captain of that ship, did it?
It didn't. I don't even know why anybody cares. Quite honestly, I don't care if it's a woman or a man that's running the damn ship. It doesn't matter.
Well,
Representation matters, Jody. That's why.
it does matter.
that's
To me, it doesn't. I don't care.
well then
They both,
Because-
as long as they do the job, who doesn't matter?
Carol
What's that?
Freeman-
Because you get lots of representation.
There's
Oh,
only
okay.
one
Well,
Jody.
if it's a representation
Ashley.
thing.
There's only one Jody, Ashley.
I've never been represented as a captain on any ship. Thank you very much. I know. I jest, but no, I get what you're saying, Ashley. And obviously, I don't have the same mentality because I'm not a woman. But if that is something that's important, and if it is great, and but what I'm trying to say is, I don't care if the captain is a woman or a man. It doesn't take away anything from me one way or the other.
Right. I get what you're saying too, Jody. And so okay. I think we talked about Freeman. Jody, or sorry, Jaemeel, you have a hard stop at 10, right? Because you have your thing you have to jump off to, right? So
I wouldn't mind being done at 10 either.
There's
My
a lot
ass
more
hurts.
characters for you to go through.
I know. I'm thinking about that. So okay. There's Ransom, Shax, and Ta'ana. Those are the three. So let's just talk about Ransom next. Ransom is anyone
Who's Ransom?
the first
Second in
officer?
command.
The Riker,
Oh, okay. Number one. Okay.
number one. Let's go to Jody first. Ransom. Do you
He's your typical, stereotype Star Trek number one. He's Riker, just a little bit younger, and he's season 1 Riker. That's really what he is.
Okay. Kevin?
He could have been great, but they backed away from him.
Yes.
And made him a lesser part of the show.
So that you think dial his character up more in the future?
No, not dial him up like he's maybe dial him down, but put him more in the show a little. Like
less obnoxious Ransom, more
a little less obnoxious, but in the show
we need something in between Chakotay and Riker. That's what we need there.
Yeah, he's straddling that line, and
more closer to Riker than Chakotay, just to be clear.
And Ashley,
he's fine.
He's fine.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Like, in some episodes, he's funny, and in other ones, he's a bit too much and doesn't land.
Yeah.
If he was never in it again, I'd be fine with it.
Right.
I don't care about him.
Kind of with Ashley on that one. Yeah.
Interesting. He was one of my favorite characters of the series.
Really?
Shax, also one of my other favorite characters. Back to Ashley. Shax, you were sad when he died.
I wanted more Shax. I thought Shax was hilarious. Yeah. Every episode is like more Shax. Justin Shax.
He's with the prophets now.
Fuck the prophets. They take the greatest people and just take them away from us.
Yeah, they just take them away, and they never give them back.
Hey! The Dominion War didn't happen.
Never happened. That's right.
That was the funniest line.
Oh, by the way, Dave, that's canon.
That there's a Dominion War denier. That's fine.
Yeah. And World 359 was an inside
job.
Now, just to be clear, that might have been.
That might have been.
No, I'm not going to discredit that yet.
Hey, I love that guy
bringing the wrong into the war. That was an inside job.
That actually was. But like the fact that the guy who says that to her was the guy from the talent show who had he was the guy with the many personalities, right? The senior officer talent show, and Meritor's just like, oh my god, kill me. Right?
He's like, oh.
And then she said she dated him for a while, so I didn't.
She probably dated a whole bunch of people, and she like just for kicks.
I'm thinking something happened with Riker.
I think something. Maybe, and I think something happened with that Klingon.
How old would she have been?
Yeah, I don't think they can do that.
I don't think you want to go down that path.
Right?
I think it was more recently than we want to admit. Deanna Troy's boring. Let's be honest.
Jody.
Anyway, okay, just the last couple characters. So Shax, we talked about. Does anyone want to say else about Shax? Like anything else about him?
He was fine.
Okay.
Only good Bajoran.
He was a good Bajoran.
We talked about,
which is hard for me to say.
We talked about Dr. Ta'ana. We thought I always enjoy her. She's a cat. Yeah, it's kind of weird watching a cat, but it's fun.
Love her.
Need
more of her.
Yeah, she's more of that character, and then finally, just Lieutenant Commander Andy Billups, which is the chief engineer.
It's
Paul Scheer from the League and other things.
Who is this?
The chief engineer.
Oh, okay, all right.
I feel bad.
Oh, the chief engineer. Okay.
Yeah, he's like this. He's this guy with this mustache, and I just love that he has a mustache.
He's like balding, right?
Yeah, I just think he's like, we're rocking mustaches back again in the 24th century, and that's how it is. Like,
so he's Jordy.
Yes, I feel that. I feel in the movie episode, I felt bad for him because he seemed lonely at the end. Like when they were over to talk to him, and he's just sitting there eating his soup or whatever. He looked lonely,
dreaming of Leah Brahms.
Yeah. Ensign Bill.
Who doesn't?
Someone who loves engineering as much as him be his friend. Like, yeah.
Well, do you think there's a romance potentially between Rutherford and Billups?
Could be
romance, yeah,
over their mutual love of machinery.
Yeah,
maybe
that episode that
run out together and just
what happens in the Jeffries tubes stays in the Jeffries tubes.
They might tag team a sex robot.
Maybe
you never know.
Yeah, it's a three-way with an android. Could be their
maybe they're the ones dirtying up all those things on the holodeck.
That's right.
Or holodeck. Sorry, it's a ship.
Yes. Yeah, but I do think it just speaks to that we have a great crew of characters here. Some of them are just fine, as we established. Some of them are just fine, and they're there.
But could be great.
But could be great
with more episodes.
And I think that, well, Jamil and I have been talking about this all season, a terrific team of writers here, headed by Mike McMahon. But there's maybe not so much with Cochran. But I think he's the weak link of this.
I wouldn't say that the writing is the best thing about this show, but it's certainly not bad compared to a lot of recent Star Trek. That's for sure.
I think it's.
I gotta tell you, man, I'm the on all of the Star Trek podcasts. I am probably the most negative, and I gave an episode of this show a 10, a perfect fucking 10.
Yes,
it's insane. I've never been so positive about a Star.
I'm happy that you're positive for it. Yeah, you and Ashley both gave it a 10.
There's nothing wrong with that. You can enjoy something, Kevin.
I liked more episode 9. Episode 9 was my high point, but
some of us enjoy Enterprise, some of us don't. I get it.
A long road,
Been a long.
Well, going from there to here.
Did you like that?
By the way, I think was one of the funniest jokes in that entire fucking episode.
Yeah.
And fight me if you want to. But
one of the funniest
that
jokes
was
in the entire
hilarious.
series. Like he was like,
and the best thing about that joke was most people won't get it, which is even better.
Oh god, that was so good.
Yeah, because
there is an awful lot of Star Trek fans that will not touch Enterprise. So
yeah,
it's from there. But yeah, no, I thought that was a great reference, and the whole Titan stuff was great too. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, just wrapping up here on season 1, guys. We deep dived into it. We talked about all these characters, all the things we loved and didn't like, and all these great things. And we got to wrap up tonight. Jameel's got to head over to his next.
Well, you just put it on me. Just lay it on my feet.
It's all
Sorry, Jameel's fault.
We
wanted
to be ready to stay here all night and talk about.
I don't know about you guys, but I wanted to do another 4 hours. But Jamil.
But Jamil had to, something's up. So.
Such a diva. He shows up late and then he has to leave, and that's fine. We understand.
We've been podcasting for 2 hours. That is the length of the entire season.
It is. You
shy about an hour. Yeah,
half an hour about cable
and it's Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So thank you.
This was the most interesting recap I've ever been on.
This was an interesting one. This is more freestyle than we typically have, but I think it was we were kind of going all over the place. We touched on a lot of things, a lot of social issues I wasn't expecting to talk about, and Star Wars, a lot of Star Wars. But
guys,
okay.
I'm so glad I just spent the last 2 hours with you. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, it's great. Jamil, thank you. Kevin, Ashley, thank you. Jody, thank you so much. Great to deep dive into this, and we hope you enjoy this. And we hope you'll those out of you will join us for Star Trek Discovery next week as we head into season 3.
Get ready.
Get ready. Have your Tums ready.
He's got the Tums.
Yeah, you're gonna need them. And all of our other stuff. On Tuesday night, we'll be doing Deep Space Nine rewatches. We're in season 2. Join us for that. Wednesday nights, original series, a random episode every week. And Thursdays, it was Lower Decks, now going to Discovery. And then on the weekends, we have Star Trek Radio Theater, which we're off for this weekend. But we'll be back next Saturday night to bring you Voyagers in the Flesh, where 8472 try to learn how to be Starfleet cadets and stuff. So anyway, check out our other channel, Super Mater Brothers Podcast, and we cover Big Brother and Trivial Debates, where we argue about movies and sports and TV and stuff. All right. I'm Dave Mater. On behalf of all of us, have a good night. Take care.